Did you know that being poor is a choice? Well, it is if you play Warhammer. Hello everyone, it's me, Rebin/Handy, destroyer of wallets, maker of terrible financial decisions with the annual Pile of Shame update video. So first I'd like to say thank you everyone for your continued support of the channel. The channel just recently hit 5,000 subscribers back in April, and the first subscriber goal for the end of the year has been reached. So Megara or Styrex it is. That is of course unless 6,000 subs is reached and instead I get a Marauder, Bomber, or Townar. Anything after that is up to community vote. I just hope they don't retire the Marauder Bomber by then though. But it's been 3 years since I started making videos on YouTube with the video that launched it all, my Pile of Shame video. And before you ask, I still can't paint the Warlord Titan, but I really want to paint it. Anyways, I figured since I don't want to bore you, let's go over all the things I painted that were shown in last year's Pile of Shame video, and everything that was added after the video that I painted. If you don't want to be spoiled just yet, you can go back and watch last year's video. Go ahead, I'll wait. But without further ado, it's time to talk about painting. So first, starting with Space Marines, I finally finished my Tyberos Threadweight Kit Bash. It was a huge moment of pride when the kit bash finally got completed and painted because it was something I'd been working on and off after I moved. And after a few setbacks, he was finally painted and he turned out pretty well. If you want to make your own Tyberos Threadweight Kit Bash like mine, you can check out this video right here. And just letting you know right now, since GW no longer makes him and he's Legends, you're gonna have to go to Forge World East if you want the OG Tyberos kit. Speaking of the OG Tyberos, he also got painted as a part of a How to Paint Carcharodons guide I'll be releasing probably after this video, maybe. I say maybe since there's a lot of things I want to talk about that are going on in Warhammer right now. But that's all the Space Marine stuff I painted from last year's Pile of Shame video. For Knights, like I mentioned with the Titan being out of my control when it gets painted, sadly none of them got painted, but holy do I want to paint these so badly. Just looking at them every day in my display case hurts my soul so much because I've had some of them for at least 4 years now. But yeah, unfortunately no progress was made on painting the Imperial Knights. Next, we have my newest money sink that all started with one trip to the Warhammer Cafe LA and a Telemon Dreadnought. That's right, it's my Custodes army, which I will tell you exactly how many points of them I have when we get to the Pile of Shame part. So for my Custodes nuts that were shown in last year's video, I painted both Valerian and Alea. Alea and Valerian were the test bed for some of my new favorite metallic paints from everyone's favorite shady company, Green Stuff World. I used their chrome metal paints for these two, and they actually look pretty good. Valerian was also my first Custodes model I painted up in my Shadowkeeper scheme. Also, I'm sure you noticed no face, only helmet because I suck at painting faces, but he was a good proof of concept for one of my first attempts at painting a Custodes HQ, and also I need to stop being lazy and paint both of their bases someday in the near future. But next up is my 6 Alaris Terminators, and my god was it the Knight Cenobium all over again, aka too much detail for the sake of detail. These guys were a pain in the ass for literally a month. So many details I missed painting at multiple points in this painting project. The sheer amount of colors needed just to make them look good was also a massive headache. I'm sure you also noticed that they got some halberds because I ain't gonna decide between axes and spears, so porque no los dos, because rule of cool of course. But after these bad boys, the next Custodes model from last year's video was my Blade Wizard that I recently finished painting for my How to Paint Shadowkeepers tutorial that unfortunately died in the YouTube algorithm the day it was posted. It's not like I spent 2 weeks painting it on and off while also doing another project on stream, and also finding out I damaged my sciatic nerve in the process and needed to get a new chair because my old one was almost 10 years old. And for everyone that watches my streams, I just want to say thank you for all the donations, by the way. That's what helped me get it, and simultaneously wiped out all my funds for terrible financial decisions, but health comes first. Also tax write-off. Woo! The Blade Wizard is honestly one of my favorite HQs the Custodes have because he looks just so cool. And also he has fun rules too, which is turn everything that gets into melee with him into a smoothie since the Blade Champion is a literal blender. Anyways, it was a fun little painting project that also fulfilled my quota of 1 painting tutorial a year. So if you want to know how I do Shadowkeepers, check out that video. Okay, now we get to everything that wasn't in last year's video that was added to the Pile of Shame and got painted ahead of this video. Technically this mini isn't finished, but let me get this out of the way first since he was supposed to be painted, but I f***ed up and forgot my bone colored robe recipe. That's right, it's another chaplain from my chaplain collection, more specifically Mr. Repent himself, Asmodai. I'm gonna count him as painted because like I said, he would have been finished if I didn't have to strip off the paint, but he will get painted after I finish my current painting project. But first up is 10 Sisters of Silence that I got from the old Combat Patrol box that sucks that it went away. And these were the real first attempt at using Green Stuff World chrome metal paints, and thank God, because learning how to use alcohol paints was a lot of trial and error, along with being forced to paint faces. I'm really glad I used these as a test bed and not some custodian guard or Valerian, because I know for a fact people's attention is not going to be focused on the golden girls since they always are going to be on the home objective, and they also never last a phase when they get shot at. Man, am I glad I did these first, because I did not have fun painting these things at all. And now I know how Imperial Guard players feel when painting guardsmen. After I finished painting the Golden Girls, the next Custodes models that got painted was my Aquilin Terminators. I painted these up as Danconatoy Custodes, and man, I wish Talar's Terminators were this tall and not so squat. I really liked using Duncan Rhodes Too Thin Coats purple paints for this project because they go on so smooth. It's like a dream. I highly recommend you throw some of those crappy GW paints in the trash right now and pick up some if you can. Also, yes, they're magnetized for when I eventually get the other Aquilin Terminators, because magnets are love, magnets are life. And then my final painting project that finally got painted after 4 years is my Psi Titan. Bet you didn't see that coming, of course, unless you watch my streams. But it's been a long time in the making since it's my last Adeptus Titanicus model I own that wasn't painted for the longest time. And my god, is it beautiful. It was honestly a lot of fun to paint another Adeptus Titanicus model. Sorry, I mean Legion Imperialis model. And I do plan on maybe getting some Imperialis infantry on top of the ones I already have that are going to be used as the basing material for my Psi Titan. But yeah, the green glow, I did my best with what I had, which was a bunch of old makeup brushes and a dream, but I think it turned out okay. Now, I honestly feel like not a lot got painted since last year's video because, like I mentioned in that video, I moved across country and also I was getting a little burned out from painting. So I didn't really paint anything since I painted Voidlord Tanaroga in September. It wasn't really until November that I started painting again, with the Sisters of Silence being the first things I painted, since in between that time I was assembling a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of stuff, which I will now go over for the part you have all been waiting for, called I have added way too much crap to my collection since last year. Starting with Space Marines. Of course, you know, as a Dark Angels player, I totally needed to get the Deathwing Assault box from my ever-growing collection of Terminators, and I have not assembled anything from this box yet since I'm still on a Custodes bender, along with still not assembling my Leviathan box. Next up is something I got for my birthday, which was the Brutalis Dreadnought, one of the cooler of the 3 Redemptor Chassis Primaris Dreadnoughts, and I still have no idea where my Redemptor Dreadnought is. I really need to go digging through my closet and find it since it's primed and ready to be painted. Then lastly is the tiny Space Marines I mentioned earlier, since I didn't really get much in terms of Space Marines. Okay, yeah, I know the Deathwing Assault box is a lot of miniatures, but compared to the previous years, this is honestly nothing. But next up, on to Knights with the Knight Acheron, and I know I didn't say this in last year's video with the Lancer, but my god are these models a pain in the ass to build if you don't want to have any gaps showing. The amount of sprue goo I had to use just to fill some of the massive gaps was annoying. This is because it sets the building process back a few days just waiting for all that sprue goo to dry so then you can sand it, which honestly was really worth it. 10 out of 10 would do it again. But now we get to the worst part, I mean the best part. I am happy to say, although my wallet isn't very happy that I'm gonna say this, that I have 6,000 points of Custodes nuts. Excluding the stuff I got that was shown in last year's video, let's start with the community goal with the Orion dropship. Again, thanks everyone for making this terrible financial decision a reality. I built it back in October, and also a funny thing too, after I bought it, the dropship went out of stock in the US, and it still isn't back in stock yet. So if you wanted one, I'm sorry. Next up, I have 5 Sagittarium, which I need to free from its resin prison still. And I know I'm gonna paint these guys sometime this year, hopefully, along with 15 guard that I have, even though I'm realistically only ever gonna paint 5 guard, 5 wardens, and a Sagittarium probably sometime this year. Then after that, we have 3, that's right, 3 grab tanks, because Forge World Quality Control. I waited so many months to get these damn things, and the one that was fucked up is just barely passable to be used on a tabletop whenever it gets painted. Then next I have 6 jet bikes with 3 of them unassembled that are probably not gonna get painted anytime soon, because even after the codex, they're still trash, and so is the codex. It also really hurts even more because I wanted the cool codex art, so I got the special edition codex. In hindsight, it was a terrible financial decision, but at least I have a cool display case piece. Oh yeah, I also got the Custodes dice too, along with the Dark Angels dice I forgot to mention earlier. Then finally, I have 3 Venetari Gabagoo. Some of the coolest models Custodes have right now. That is a damn shame that all we got was the Squat Stody Shield Captain as the new model, instead of, you know, a bunch of the Forge World models going to plastic, since half the range is locked behind Forge World. Anyways, they're primed and ready to be painted, probably sometime after I paint Asmodai. Also, I forgot to mention, I will soon be the proud owner of a Genestealer Cult half of the Shadow Throne box that I traded with Ickbard in exchange for some Too Thin Coats paints. but these are going to be my Custodes tactical rocks and probably won't get assembled for a while unless I get a bit of painting burnout and want to do something else. But that's all the crap I added to my pile of shame since last year. It isn't as bad as previous years, but honestly it's probably still a lot for some people. So now we get to the part where I go over the things that I have planned for the channel this year. In regards to Warhammer, of course, make more videos and paint more miniatures, but I'm also probably going to paint some of my Battletech stuff since I did back the Kickstarter last year, and that should get shipped out relatively soon. Because I've been painting Warhammer non-stop really since November, with maybe 1 or 2 streams in between painting projects, being a small building project just to quell the onset of burnout. So I do plan on making some Battletech content along with streaming myself painting Battletech to YouTube and my Twitch channel. Then another fun thing I want to do that I have some storage space for finally is build a small 4x8 model railroad layout in HON3 scale that will fit on top of a collapsible table like this one right here. So I plan on making this sort of a monthly update kind of thing when I eventually do start building the model railroad, probably sometime in July. But I do plan on releasing a video about model trains and the start of the planning stages sometime next month, since I want it to be me documenting the construction of a model railroad layout from start to finish. So if you're interested in model trains, Battletech, and Warhammer content, you should subscribe, because I figured I need to start expanding upon the handicrafts part of my channel, since up to this point it's been Revan's Warhammer crafts. The Warhammer price increases also isn't really helping either, since I feel like GW is getting out of control with their price increases, and also constantly releasing codexes are killing my drive to even play their damn game anymore. Which is kind of why I'm going to be cutting back on buying more Warhammer and focusing on painting the stuff I currently have, besides that plastic Megara or Styrix, if the rumors are even true at this point, because you know I gotta complete the Infinity Gauntlet of owning every Imperial Knight in existence. But the new edition box was $300 last year, and I wanted to finally get a Sigmar armory because, hehe, funny rats. But now I'm afraid to find out how expensive the new edition boxes are going to be, and also the new edition boxes are kind of sparse on the miniatures too now for Sigmar. And I also feel like a lot of us are eventually going to be priced out of this hobby, but doom and gloom aside, that's all the stuff I painted and acquired since last year's Pile of Shame video, along with the channel having its 3 years of content anniversary. I would also like to mention that 2 weeks after this video goes live, I will be having a community Pile of Shame review stream. So join the Discord and read the goddamn rules so you can post your pile of shame that will then be reviewed by me and Ickbard. As always, thank you once again for watching this video. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, simply leaving a comment and hitting the like and subscribe button helps more than you think. But becoming a channel member also helps too, since it allows you to make up bullshit excuses to my parents about why I now have an Ares gunship. Anyways, I have to go make more terrible financial decisions, so I will see you on the next video, and remember, being poor is a choice.